Hello and Assalamu alaikum everyone. This is our first video lecture discussion and we will be discussing topic 1 and topic 2. So for the topic 1, kasali dito yung concepts ng community, yung pag-define natin kung ano nga ba ang community and how we perceived it as part of a client system. Sa topic 2 naman, we will be discussing the historical backgrounds of CO, paano siya lumaganap both in the Western and in the local context. Siyempre, isasali rin natin dito yung CO experiences in the Philippines. So, ano yung magiging intended learning outcomes natin? Siyempre, malalaman natin ano nga ba talaga yung nature ng isang CO practice, no? And then, we will be able to identify the distinctive features ng CO as part of a social work method, kung paano siya magkaiba sa casework, sa group work, and sa CO. And then, since we will be discussing the nature of community as part ng CO practice, syempre, magiging profession natin yung social work. And then, we will be able to understand na ganito pala dapat yung pag-handle ng isang community. And eventually, we will come to discuss the theories. And then, after the theories, syempre, meron tayong application. And then, okay, sige, simulan natin i-discuss ang community as part of the client system. Number one, sinasabi dito na it refers to a body of people or an aggregation of families or individuals na nagsisettle sa isang contiguous geographical area. Na kung saan, itong community na ito, they share the same manners, customs, traditions, mode of speech. Siguro isalin natin yung pananamit nila, yung lengguwahe na meron sila, yung practices na meron sila. Then number 2, sinasabi ng Social Work Dictionary na it is a group of individuals or families that share certain values, services, institutions, interest, or geographic proximity. Number 3, sinabi naman ni Roland and Warren na ito daw ay isang multitude of systems, many of which were influenced by their vertical relationship rather than their horizontal relationship. So, anong ibig sabihin nun? So, vertical relationship kasi, mostly, ang authority and power, it comes from the top, no? So, bali parang top down ang approach natin. Whereas, kapag horizontal relationship naman, it is more likely a collaboration between people or groups or even entities or even organizations in the same level. So, do not be confused, basta vertical relationship, nagiging top-down ang approach natin dyan. Yung authority, most likely, sa taas. Manggagaling talaga siya sa taas. Horizontal relationship naman, it is a collaboration, people on the same level. Yun ang ibig sabihin ni Roland and Warren. Number 4, it may either be geographic or functional. So kapag sinabi naman natin geographic, it refers to the people in a specific geographic area. So, ibig sabihin lang naman, it could be a village, a barangay, sitio, district, municipality, city, province, region, nation, or the world itself. Pero kapag sinabi nating functional, it is composed of people who hold the common values. They share the common functions, they share the common interest. Ano ba yung usapin patungkol sa education? So, functional community siya. When it comes to health, sa labor, recreation, that's make it a functional community. Pero kapag sinabi naman natin relevant community siya, it is a target population. Most likely kasi, they share the common fate, no? For example, victims sila ng discrimination, injustices, deprivation, or even they are oppressed. So that what's make them a part of social system under the relevant communities. So, number 5, it is a place where the need for change, the effort to make that change, and the resistance for change coexist. So, anong ibig sabihin yan? So, meaning to say, when people aim for change or development, sabihin na lang natin na ganon, some may also resist. Some may also resist of this idea kasi baka hindi nila yun interest, no? The change or the development itself may be because uh, para sa betterment, para sa prosperity, para maging harmonious. Pero hindi ibig sabihin na there is always a need for change. Meron din naman kasi talagang nagre-resist sa tinatawag nating change na yan. Kasi yun nga, hindi siya favorable sa kanila, hindi nila yun interest. Kaya minsan, nakikita natin, that's the beauty of social work eh. Kapag naging community organizer kayo sa sunod, you will be able to see na reality pala talaga siya. Kahit na gaano mo kagusto na i-persuade ang mga tao because this is a need for change, ma'am. Kasi para mas magiging maayos, para magiging mas okay kayo. Pero yung mga taong yun, they will resist for that change. They will resist for that development. Kasi hindi nila yun interest and that's okay. Hindi natin kailangan i-please itong mga taong to. But this is really important. Kailangan ba talaga, ma'am, may mag-resist? Hindi naman siya kailangan, but it is normal. It is natural, no? Normal lang yan sa mga community people. Number 6, sinabi natin a community is a political entity and a social web of moral values and shared meanings. No, anong ibig sabihin yan? Napapansin natin, di ba, ang isang barangay, ah, most likely nabibigyan sila ng funds coming from a politician kasi hindi naman sa kapartido pero in favor sila. Parang dito kasi malakas ako sa barangay na to. So papaboran ko sila. Anong hihingiin nila sa akin? Ibibigay ko. That's part of political entity. No, 'di ba? Nakikita natin 'yan. That's social reality. And somehow uh, hindi naman kinokonsente ang term, pero parang pini-perceive, ayun na lang siguro, proper term itself, siguro pini-perceive nila as an alliance of one's party, no? So, one politician may favor to one community kasi, yun nga, suportado siya ng particular politician na yun. So, that is just a reflection of their moral values, yung meanings na yon. And then lastly, the community is consisting of people now popularly known as stakeholders who have different interests of development. Yun nga sinabi ko kanina, 'di ba? For every development concern being addressed, a broad spectrum of stakeholders exist, ranging from directly affected parties to individuals or institutions with individual interest. Yun nga sinabi ko kanina, it is somehow explainable or sabotable siya sa number 5, no? Meaning to say that in a community, meron tayong tinatawag din na yung mga ordinary, meron din naman tayong nag-e-exist din yung mga elites, sino yung mga powerful, sino yung mga nasa vulnerable group, sino yung mga excluded. They have their own interest in terms of development. And what might be considered development, quote unquote ha, what might be considered development for others or for one party, it may also be a threat to the opposition kasi hindi nga sila in favor dyan eh, di ba? And then, sige, i-discuss naman natin ang classification of stakeholders. So, number 1, we have the directly affected. So, those who may be expected to benefit or lose from certain development initiatives. So, it is between to benefit or to lose. Yan lang talaga. It is in between, no? From such development initiatives. So, for example, yung expansion of highways, somewhere in saan nga yun? Yung parang may factory dyan sa may Sultan Kudarat, ata yan siya banda, no? Yung expansion ng highways. So, sino ba ang most likely nakaka-benefit dyan? So, titingnan na lang natin, sino ang part na makaka-benefit, sino din yung lose. So, sa benefit, syempre, yung pag-i-improve natin ng accessibility in terms of transportation, syempre, hindi na siya ganun ka-traffic, di ba? Medyo maluwang na ang kalsada. Yung loose naman, yung tinatawag naman natin sa other side of the coin, yung sa loose, people might be displaced eh. Kasi most likely, kasi nasa gilid na lang sila ng highway, ang mga paninda nila is nandyan na, no? They might be displaced, yung mga livelihood nila maaapektuhan, and hindi lamang siguro livelihood, even yung bahay nila. Kasi syempre, we are talking about displacement. Papaalisin sila kasi merong road widening, merong road expansion, so merong makaka-benefit, meron din namang hindi makaka-benefit. Sila yung malulose. Okay? So, affected community residents, yung mga local leaders natin, sila yung most likely kini-consider natin as stakeholders. Kapag sinabi natin indirectly affected, those with interest in outcomes. For example, yung mga NGOs, private businesses, yung mga industries. So, yung mga organizations or businesses, they are at stake of the highway project. So, interested sila. But they do not directly live in that area. And then, most likely, they are externally affected. Yun lang talaga, no? Sila ang externally affected. Advocacy groups natin na nagwo-work on related issues. So, for example, yung focus is anti-displacement policies. Most likely, mako-consider natin siya as classification of stakeholders pero under siya sa indirectly affected. And then lastly, na last classification of stakeholders, ito daw yung government elected officials. So those line agency staff, local, regional, and national government officials. So this refers to the leaders who makes decisions about the project, no? They may oversee or approve the development. Depende yan sa kanila. Gaano ba sila kainteresado, no? In the result of constructing this highway, ano yung impact niya in terms of economy, in terms of infrastructures, or political support. Kasi, syempre, meron naman talaga yung tututol di ba? For example na lang talaga, road widening. Maaapektuhan ang bahay, maaapektuhan ang livelihood. So, merong iba dyan na magagalit kasi ganito. That's what we call directly affected. Kapag indirectly affected, interested lang sila sa outcomes. Pag government elected officials, sila ang most likely gumagawa din talaga ng mga decisions about a certain project. Next, we have the 5 community functions according to Kirst, Ashman, and Hall in 2000. So, meron tayong socialization. First, we will be discussing socialization. Very sabotable siya, no? Kasi socialization, it is defined as the transmission of values, yung culture, beliefs, norms, ng mga members. Kapag sinabi naman nating resource allocation, ito yung distribution of goods and services sa community members, di ba? So, ibig sabihin, the community people, we have to make sure na itong mga taong to, they can get what they want, no? What they need. For example, food, water, healthcare, education, no? Basic services na pangangailangan ng mga tao. Resource allocation, sapat ba? Or baka kasi masyadong maraming population, kaya ang resources natin hindi sapat. So, kapag hindi siya sapat, kapag may scarcity when it comes to resource allocation, magkakaroon ng problema. Ibig sabihin, ang community, it may be dysfunctional. Diba? So, kailangan talagang merong resource allocation. Number 3, social control. Sinasabi na dapat merong enforcement of norms through laws, ordinance, and police force. So, communities, meron talaga siyang rules, no? Meron siyang law just to keep people safe and ensure fairness. Meron talaga dapat siyang batas. Now, this includes yung mga ordinances natin, local regulations natin, para i-prevent natin, for example, ang crime or even ang disorders, no? So, for example na lang talaga dyan, basura mo, sagot mo, or yung proper waste disposal ordinance ng inyong mga barangay, that's part of the social control. Kasi kapag wala tayong social control, aside sa pagiging dysfunctional, hindi din siya organized ang isang community, 'di ba? So yun naman talaga ang nature na tinitingnan natin sa isang community. Dapat okay siya, pero ma'am, kapag ba walang social control, kapag walang maayos na resource allocation, ibig sabihin hindi na ba okay ang isang community? Hindi naman gano'n. Pero this is kumbaga ito yung ise-set natin na standard kasi, ano ba talaga ang meron sa isang community dapat, 'no? Dapat present talaga itong socialization natin, meron tayong resource allocation, meron tayong sapat na social control na hindi siya natatamaan or hindi lamang siya magfa-favor doon sa mga higher ups, sa mga elitista natin. And then next, we have the support. It could be formal or informal support. Kapag sinabi nating formal, uh, most likely yung help nanggagaling talaga siya sa mga services or mga government programs or services, mga galing sa DSWD, mga NGOs. Pero kasi kapag sinabi nating informal support, ah, most likely, ang pinaka-essence talaga ng community organization is that we have this what we call bayanihan, di ba? Wherein people in the community help one another, di ba? Pinaka-basic lang talaga. Kapag yung kapitbahay ninyo or si family A nasunugan, 'di ba? The rest of the alphabets na merong family, 'di ba tinutulungan talaga nila itong si family A to stop the fire para maglala, 'di ba? Para i-cease itong ah, aksidente na ito. So kapag informal naman, the help comes from personal, no? From personal connections. So for example, yung within the neighborhood or even the support groups or kahit anong organization ka connected, kasali yan siya dyan. So, that is an example of support. Kapag sinabi naman nating socializing opportunities, ito yung opportunities to participate in activities to enhance the quality of human life. So for example na lang talaga no, yung mga park natin, yung mga public spaces natin, yung pagkakaroon ng mga Zumba class sa municipal plaza natin, 'di ba? Nakikita natin 'yan. So that is part of the socializing opportunities na kung saan the community provides an avenue or this event na kung saan magmi-meet ang mga tao, they will have fun, they will improve their well-being, nakikipag-socialize sila, meaning to say na etong mga activities na ito, it will bring people together. And siguro para mas makilala nila ang isa't isa, syempre para mas malaman nila, uy, pamilya pala to ni ano. So that is part of the community functions. Again, ano yung magiging goal talaga natin sa isang community? Dapat hindi siya dysfunctional. Dapat present itong 5 community functions natin. Next, we have the 2 kinds of problems kung saan yung CO worker, the need to address itself. First is the residual problems. Sa residual problems, it can be easily understood as, kumbaga, yung gaps in basic services. So, these problems are brought about the operational breakdown. Yan, or either the producing system or the consuming public. Ito yung result sa gaps ng services, lack of resources. And then, when our population increases, for example, its demand on the producing systems as well as on the labor market increases. So, ito nga sinasabi ko, di ba, sa resource allocation, dapat pantay siya eh. Hindi dapat siya, alam niyo yun, yung demand supply na mga law, 'di ba? I think na-discuss yan siya way back in high school. So, it is something related to this one. If we fail to produce adequate food, clothing, shelter, new jobs, yun pa lang ha, yung mga basic social facilities or even the services, syempre, magkakaroon talaga mas magwa-widen yung gap, no, between the consumers, no, magbe-bridge siya ng social unrest. So, dito lang naman talaga tinitingnan natin, no, na these problems happen kapag yung community itself, it doesn't have enough resources to meet people's needs, no? Yun lang talaga ang pinaka-example dyan. Many people who lose their job or kahit wala silang trabaho, graduate nga sila, graduate nga sila, wala silang trabaho kasi walang opportunities for them. That is part of the residual problems. And then kapag institutional problems naman, sinasabi naman dito na this refers to the irrelevant or defective social policies and community decision-making processes. So sa institutional problems na sinasabi natin, kumbaga broken ang ano natin, sira ang sistema natin, sira ang polisiya natin, irrelevant or defective social policies. So this has something to do with the system itself. Kapag institutional problems, we are talking about the system itself, ha? For example, yung mga current laws natin, yung mga policies natin, it may not benefit most people. Kasi yun nga, majority, kasi baka hindi naman talaga sila concerned doon sa welfare ng karamihan sa mga tao, wala tayong magagawa dyan. But then, kung makikita natin sa isang batas, di ba meron tayong mga tinatawag nating amendment? Itong amendment na ito ng isang batas, ito kasi is nag-fit siya, no? Nag-fit siya sa anong trend ngayon? Kasi baka kasi yung policy natin, yung mga laws natin, hindi na siya beneficial, hindi na siya relevant. Kaya nga, kailangan natin ng pagbabago. Now, when these policies are outdated, kailangan talaga natin siyang palitan kasi ineffective na siya eh. Unjust na siya. So, this may result to social injustices. Nagigets nyo ba yung point? So, basta institutional problems, that is just uh, the system itself. Yun ang may problema. So, yun yung kailangan nating tandaan between the residual problems and the institutional problems. So, ayan nga, mapuput into jeopardy yung welfare and interest ng uh, majority ng mga tao when it comes to their interest and welfare, baka kasi ma-jeopardize. So, yun nga, magkakaroon ng social problems, unrest, instability sa isang community. Eh, hindi naman yan yung gusto natin sa isang community, di ba? So, lastly, ito yung magiging last topic natin before we will proceed sa topic 2. We will be discussing the community organization as a method of social work that has this distinctive features. So, pinakauna lang talaga dyan, its practice is based on the body of knowledge and principles. Ibig sabihin, the social workers apply their set of knowledge, no? Their set of knowledge and skills in understanding the community itself. So kayo, kapag magiging lisensyadong social worker kayo this 2027 or 2028 inshallah, ano ba talaga yung set of skills na meron kayo? Ano ba talaga yung knowledge na meron ka para intindihin itong isang community na ito. So, how the problem occur? Yun talaga yung unang tanong, no? Bakit siya nangyari? Kailan siya nagsimula? No? Social workers have this set of skills, this knowledge, these values embedded on them. No? It enables the community people lang talaga na to be socially aware kung anong mga nangyayari. Kasi, yun talaga siya. Yun naman talaga yung ano natin, yun naman talaga yung goal natin, di ba? Yung profession natin, hindi lang siya trial and error, but it is composed of this set of skills, the knowledge, the principles, the values that we have. Next, professionally trained social workers, hindi ka naman papasok lang doon ng basta-basta, hindi ka guided. Now, sa CO, kapag nag-organize tayo ng isang community, most likely kasi, kapag ka natuloy yung exposure natin sa isang community, syempre guided ko kayo kung paano niyo siya gagawin. Meron tayong evaluation for that. But for example, punta lang kayo doon para wala lang, mag-interview lang, hindi kayo guided. Eh, hindi din kayo trained, hindi kayo professionally trained. Mahirap yon. Kasi baka kasi instead na you will be able to understand the problems of these community people, baka kasi hindi na sila magiging, alam mo yun, yung magiging open sila sa inyo, magsasabi sila ng totoo kung ano ba talaga yung nangyari, bakit nagkaroon yung problem na ganito, bakit siya nag-occur in the very first place. Kasi hindi kayo ganun ka-professional mag-handle ng mga sinasabi nila. Tapos instead of saying, "Ganun po ba? Ito po ba talaga yung nangyari?" So, you are validating, tinatanong mo sila. Pero instead of saying that, sinabi mo, sure ka talaga ma'am? Yan talaga ang sinabi. Yan talaga ang nangyari." So, merong mga judgments, may mga prejudgments or mga assumptions ka, nagda-doubt ka sa sinasabi ng mga taong 'to, edi hindi magiging success yung ano mo doon, pagpunta mo doon sa isang community. So, kailangan talaga sa CO, when we talk about CO, dapat professionally trained, no? You learn how to handle a community. Alam mo kung paano makipagsalamuha sa mga tao. You will be able to understand or see to it or even read between the lines. Etong when we talk about or we will be able to have this dialogue kasama itong mga relevant communities or yung mga victim survivors natin, yung mga na-oppressed na mga individuals, dapat magiging conscious tayo in using words or using terms, 'di ba? Professionally trained dapat tayo diyan. So we only follow these certain steps upon entering or even immersing ourselves in the community. Okay, gets? Scary pa ba? Next, we have number 3. It's helping process proceeds from the analysis of the baseline data on the community problems. Syempre, merong needs with the participation of the people who are involved. Kasi syempre, before tayo mag-immerse sa isang community, we must have this prior knowledge about the community. No? Magba-background check tayo because this will serve as our baseline data. Okay? Gets ba? Yun yung ano natin, yun yung magiging kakapitan natin, yung baseline data natin. Before talaga tayo mag-proceed or mag-immerse sa isang community, dapat meron na tayong kahit papano nakapaghingi na tayo ng mga konting information, nakagather tayo ng data about this particular community. So, yung data na ito, it could be primary or secondary resources. Manggagaling doon yung information na yun. And, syempre, kapag nandun ka na, kapag na-immerse mo na yung sarili mo, syempre meron tayong needs identification, no? Aalamin natin, needs assessment natin, meron tayong problem identification or needs identification, yung pagpaplano natin ng solution, yung pag-i-implement, yung pag-monitor and evaluation. Dapat sa part na to, since you are professionally trained, since alam mo kung ano talaga yung dapat na gawin, eto na. Eto yung mga basic steps na dapat i-execute mo, no? Dapat hindi lamang ikaw as a social worker na, ay ma'am, sa tingin ko mas alam ko na ito talaga ang need ninyo, no? Syempre kasi yung community na pinasukan mo is flood prone. Tapos, ang sinasabi ng mga tao is, ma'am, kasi ano naman, dito sa amin, flood prone siya kasi, yun nga, may mga certain reasons sila, siguro yung basura hindi yung basura nagsa-stuck siya sa kanal, sa mga drainage, kaya yung tubig bumabalik sa kanila. So, imbis na ang pinaparating nila ay, ma'am, nagiging breeding ground ito ng dengue, ng mga lamok. So, gusto namin ito yung problema na i-address namin. Pero instead of solving or providing or having this discussion with them na ano po ba talaga ang gusto ninyo? Paano po ba natin ito mare-resolve? You have to work with them, di ba? You have to ask them, ano po ba ang mga pwede nating gawin? Hindi ka pwede mag-i-impose na, ay ma'am, dengue lang naman yan. Ang gusto ko dito sa inyo, potable water. Oy, pinaka-ekis yan ha. You are not possessing the knowledge, the principles. Saan yung value doon ng self-determination ng mga clients natin? Wala na kasi pinangunahan mo. So, yun ang kinakailangan, participation ng community people. We will be discussing that one, kung paano nga ba talaga natin mahikayat itong mga taong to. Hindi dahil kailangan natin silang pilitin na, ma'am, kailangan nyo talaga. Kasi kung hindi, magalit ako, tapos magsumbong ako doon sa mayor, hindi kayo bigyan ng ayuda. Oh, hindi yan siya part ng tinuro natin, ha? Hindi yan siya part ng CO, hindi talaga yan siya part ng method natin. Okay? Number 4, its goals and objectives are to empower the people. No? Anong pinaka-goal natin? For them to become self-reliant. Para maging self-managed sila. Again, ina-avoid natin, we avoid the attitude and the culture of dependence. No? Kasi ang gusto natin, by the end of the day, by the time na aalis tayo sa isang community, they will become self-reliant. Yun yung gusto natin. Yun yung matawag nating successful tayo or naging maayos tayo, naging goal-oriented tayo as a social worker. Naging self-reliant sila, hindi na nila kailangan na humingi ng iba't ibang resources, sa kung saan ba yan, ng mga external resources, because they have this own internal resources with them. Alam nila paano i-utilize, they know how to maximize this one. So, ibig sabihin, good job tayo doon. Yun talaga yung pinaka-goal natin, for them to become self-reliant at para maging self-managed. Tatanggalin natin yung idea na magiging dependent sila sa atin forever. Uy, tatawagan natin si ma'am kasi ganito at maliit lang na problema. Kailangan talaga natin si ma'am. Sila ang magbibigay ng solution sa atin. Sila naman talaga ang naglalakad sa atin. Sila naman ang nagpo-provide ng mga solutions. Hindi ganon, di ba? Failure ka doon sa part na yun kung ikaw mismo as a social worker ang nagpo-provide ng solutions sa community people. Take note, community people knows kung ano ang meron sa community nila. Ikaw as a social worker, most likely, inimmerse ka dyan, nilagay ka dyan, pinadala ka dyan. I-assume natin wala ka talagang wala kang kakilala diyan, hindi ka nakapagtira diyan, or ano ba, 'di ba mahirap? So, dapat alam mo, no? Yun yung pinaka, ano natin, alam mo yung pinaka-goal natin na, although mahirap, na wala tayong kakilala dito, hindi natin alam kung ano to, pero we have this, we have this primary and secondary resources para mag-back up. And then, i-validate natin yan with the community people. And then lastly, meron tayong it adheres to the concept of integrated and coordinated efforts with other sectors of the community and in employing interdisciplinary approach for effective results. So, ibig sabihin dyan, shared responsibility, no? No man is an island. No? The community consists of resources. And this part, coordinated talaga siya. Integrated effort siya towards a harmonious and fully functioning community. Meron nga siyang resources pero hindi niya alam paano gamitin. Kasi watak-watak sila, no? Itong groups na ito, itong organizations na ito, hindi nila alam kung paano i-secure yung resources nila ng maayos, paano nila i-utilize ng maayos. Same as ganitong organization, hindi rin nagdo-duplicate yung mga resources natin, nasasayang. So, ang pinakagusto natin when it comes to CO is that meron tayong concept ng integrated and coordinated efforts with other sectors. Interdisciplinary siya in its approach para effective ang result. Hindi sila working all alone kasi ito lang ang gusto namin. But ang pinaka gusto natin when it comes to CO is that they will be working as one. No? Magkakasama sila. Ang pinaka-goal lang naman talaga dyan is harmonious and fully functioning community, di ba? Sino ba ang social worker na gusto ang community niya na maging dysfunctional? O, di ba? Wala. So, again, you will be answering the self-assessment sa yellow pad paper ninyo and I will be collecting that one and we will be discussing topic 2 na short moment. Gagawa ako ng separate video for this and I'll see you. Makinig kayo sa next discussion natin.